Walther PPKs. Da-da-da. The slide is very, very sexy. I've got my tuxedo on, and I'm taking a concealed carry with me because tonight I'm James Bond. All right, let's bring her home. Welcome to the Concealed Carry channel. I am Grant McLean. I'm going to show you a range review, tabletop review, and formal unboxing of the Walther PPKs today. This was kind of an interesting gun. I've been waiting to get my hands on one for some time, so I'm excited to share with you my findings on this pistol today. Before we jump into things, I want to say thanks so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome, and I'm super excited to have done the first quarterly giveaway of 2021. And Kenny, congratulations on that awesome Traeger. If you'd like to be a Patreon supporter, go into the description below. You can find our Patreon link, and it'll take you to the Patreon page, and you can support the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. And with that, you can also get entries in for our quarterly giveaways, exclusive content available just to you. Going beyond the black shirt. It's nice. So it's a very cool thing that we do, so check that out. If you need to get a gun, one of these, or a gun in general, visit nwarmory.com. The folks over at Northwest Armory will be happy to help you out. You can do an in-store pickup or have it shipped to your local FFL. If you want to get some of these awesome reactive targets you're going to see here in a few minutes, visit xhunttargets.com. They are sweet. We're going to jump into the unboxing portion of the Walther PPKs. Now, for those of you watching today, if you have one of these, or if you considered getting one of these, definitely comment below, why did you get it? Or why did you not get it? And if you didn't get it, did you go with something else instead, and why? These are really good things for people looking at potentially buying these guns. Before I jump into the unboxing portion of this, I do want to give you disclosure that this gun is a used firearm. These are very hard to get right now. It's the first quarter of 2021. So the second that I had an opportunity to get one, I took it to be able to put a review on the channel for this, because I know a lot of people are searching for these guns. They are not cheap, so they want to know what they're getting into before they get it. This gun came into the armory looking perfect, immaculate, as if I don't even know if it had ever been shot by the previous owner. With that being said, everything that came in the box was to be what came from the factory. So all I can assume, because we haven't been seeing one of these come into the armory and I don't even know how long, is that what I'm going to show you inside this box is what would have come or what will come with the gun from the factory. Okay, so just disclosure there. I don't know if there's maybe one thing that might be missing from the box, but I think everything is here for it, okay? Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the unboxing portion. Comes in this nice plastic case. It's small, it's cute, it's got spots there for a lock. I do really like this little case here. Pop that open. And there she is. Sitting right up top, we have your Walther PPKs. Now this comes in two different finishes. You'll see it in the stainless, and you'll also see it in a black melanite finish. This is obviously the black melanite finish. We'll jump into this here in just a quick sec. I'm going to show you the rest of the things that come in the box. You're going to get two magazines. One is going to have a pinky extension. The other one's going to be a flush fit. These are 7 rounds in those mags. You'll have your lock. You'll have your paperwork. We have a test round from the factory and a yellow plastic bag. The MSRP on this gun is $849, and it doesn't matter if you get the black finish or if you do the stainless steel finish. Both of them have the same MSRP. However, do expect that these are going to cost you a little bit more currently, just because the supply and demand, overall availability of it. Now that we've gone over what's in the box, let's talk about this pistol here. And I'll go ahead and remove that safety flag. And to lock back the slide, yes, you do have to put the magazine in. We're going to talk about that. So what we have here is the Walther PPKs. This is a micro compact 380 or 9mm short, 9mm Kurtz, whatever you want to call it. It is a 7+1 capacity gun. The barrel on this is a 3.3-inch barrel. The overall length is 6.1 inches. The height with the pinky extension is 4.3 inches, and the width, the grip is going to be the widest part here, is 1.1 inches. The weight on this gun empty is 1 pound 8 ounces. So it's a metal on metal gun. It's not really light as some. But you know what? That's the way they designed it, and that's the way they've kept it for almost 100 years. Let's go ahead and jump into the range review portion of today's review. And if you haven't seen this before, what we do is we do 4 groups at 3, 5, 7, and 10 yards. And what we're doing here, or at least our goal, is to do 5 shots in 2 seconds. Now, this pistol is a double action, single action gun, and I start all of these groups off in the double action mode, and then the following shots will be in single action because the hammer will be back. The 3 yard, 1.25 inches, that's a great size group. The 5 yard, 3.6, I was a little disappointed in that one. The 7 yard, 3.6, so those were the same. To give you an idea, 3.6 is about the size of my fist, as you can see there. So not terribly large groups by any means, especially I only put about 20 rounds into this gun before I do this. So I'm just getting used to kind of the ergonomics and a little bit of the functionality and mechanics of the gun, and then I just jump right into this. The 10 yards, 4.25, you can see we got a couple shots very close to each other. In fact, these 4 were actually pretty darn close. So overall, the grouping, not too bad. You know, it is a smaller pistol, and I was fairly happy with the groups. The pistol, the way it shot overall and how pleasurable the pistol is to shoot at the range is okay. It's just okay. Let's go ahead and jump into what we usually do and kind of break the gun down, pros and cons, from the sights down to the magazine. The sights on this gun, they are small. They're machined into the slide, which makes them, you know, very low profile and very good looking as far as the machining goes too. The sights are not your traditional 3-dot sight. On the back, you're going to have a notch, and at the bottom of that notch, you're going to have a little red dot. And your front sight is going to have a little red dot. So when you're lining up the sights on this gun, you're basically going dot, dot in the center of your target. Now, these dots are small, and I like that. I found them to be fairly accurate. You know, with a gun typically of this sight radius, a micro compact, the groupings that we had here, especially without having a whole lot of trigger time behind the gun, were, in my opinion, pretty good. And I think a lot of that had to do with how small these sights are, those little dots are. There's not a whole lot of room for error. You'll see that if you're looking at other micro compacts where they might have this giant dot on the front sight, where you'll find that you're on target, you just don't know exactly where on target you are. And I just did that on the Kimber Micro 9 review. So if you go into my reviews, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. On the top of the slide, you'll have some serrations there, kind of looks like little waves, and that's going to help with the glare off the top of that slide. Now, these sights are not designed for low light situations. This is not tritium sights or anything like that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this slide. The slide is very, very sexy. It's the James Bond, baby. It has some nice lines to it. There is obviously a lot of nostalgic look to this and classic look to this. And I think that there's a lot of things that could be brought up to the 21st century on this gun for sure. One of them being is some front serrations right there. This slide is not a very light slide. It is pretty heavy. So getting a little bit more grip on that slide, maybe to do some press checks, I think would be great. The machining on the slide is done beautifully. The coating is done beautifully. You can see you have the Walther logo there, Walther Arms, Inc., Fort Smith, Arkansas, USA, machined beautifully right there. And then on the left side of the gun, you'll again have that Walther logo. And then you'll have all the other fun jazz machined into the slide there. It looks really good. The rear serrations, they're easy to grab onto and manipulate with that. It is a little bit different having the safety up in the slide like this. And, you know, if you're, I don't want to say if you're used to old school guns. I mean, this is not the only gun that has existed with the safety up in the slide, you know. But this might be something that people are used to or need to get used to. The slide lock on this gun is actually inside. So if you have no round in the chamber, no magazine in, it's going to put the slide back into battery like normal. If you wanted to lock back the slide like this, you can't until you put the magazine in. You have to put the mag in. Now you can lock back the slide. Then you drop the magazine out. So it's not like most handguns where you take the magazine out, okay, just like it did on here. Slide goes back into battery. But I have a slide lock lever here. So if I wanted to lock back the slide, I could put the slide back, apply upward pressure to that slide lock, and now it's back there. I don't have to reinsert this magazine into the gun, lock back the slide, then drop the mag. I actually have a slide lock there. That is something that you kind of need to get used to. It is definitely different. Let's go into the other controls here, like the magazine release. The magazine release is going to be on the left side of this gun. It is not a ambidextrous mag release, as you can see here. It has some nice checkering, nice grip to it. I do find that even as small as this gun is, if you have medium or small size hands, that mag release is just gonna be out of reach. I can't hit that mag release without changing my grip. So if I am in my firing grip and I need to drop that mag, I am going to have to change the angle of my hand to be able to properly manipulate that magazine release. Once I do that though, that magazine drops nice, freely, doesn't get caught on anything, and there's plenty of room right there around the palm there where it's not going to pinch the magazine into the gun, which is a common thing for micro compact guns where your palm can actually pinch the magazine into it, where you end up having to move all your fingers out of the way. It's very awkward either way. That was not an issue with this once you can finally reach that magazine release. The safety up here on the slide, it is to me not the most ergonomic of things, disengaging or re-engaging that safety. I do like that the safety is actually a decocker. When it's here, safety off, as you can see the red, and you pull that down, it's a decocker. It's not my favorite. Fortunately, it's big enough where it is somewhat easy to manipulate. I do prefer the safeties down here on the frame where you can just flick them down and your thumb kind of falls into a natural position to fire. It's not up like this, and then you have to move it down. So that's my personal thing. But again, we're talking about a gun with pretty old technology and design behind it. So I think that, you know, if you wanted something this much more modern with more features and designs, This is not exactly the gun for you, but nonetheless, it may be something you still want to add to your collection because you like James Bond, right? Let's go ahead and jump into the trigger here. So the trigger, to me, oh boy, this was the toughest thing for me when it came to this gun. I really like James Bond. I think the gun is so sexy. It's so nostalgic. It's so cool. And you know, it has nothing to do with the Walther brand, you know. But this trigger, and it's no secret, is got to be one of the worst triggers ever. Trying to think of another gun. Ever. Maybe the LCR. But this trigger is a double action, single action trigger. And in the double action mode here, with the hammer up, it is 13 plus pounds. Now, I know some people have said, oh, well, my trigger weighed out at 12 pounds. Well, let me throw you a picnic. 12 pounds still? Are you bragging? No, right? Walther is like, yeah, this double action trigger, 13 plus pounds. I was like, holy cow. It's heavy. It is heavy. It really is. It's smooth, but it is, my God, heavy. In the double action, 6 pounds. It's still fairly heavy. Now, not anything too abnormal, because most carry guns are going to be 5 pounds. So that wasn't too crazy as far as that goes. But it is very pleasurable to shoot that in the single action mode. So you see here, double action, single action. See how it takes all that take up out of it? Now, I know some people might be thinking, all right, well, I can carry it with a hammer back and the safety on, similar to like a 1911, cocked and locked, right? Not the case. If you want to carry it with the hammer back, remember this is a decocker, so you go to put that safety on. Nope. If you try to have the safety on and pull the hammer back, nope, nothing there either. So it's double action, single action. That is what it is. Unless you were to go safety off, hammer back, and then shoot the gun. That's really the only way you can immediately go right into single action. All right? So that's something to keep in mind if you are planning on actually carrying this on your person and want to have it in single action right away. Let's go ahead and do some trigger pulls real quick so you guys can get an idea of this. So let's put your finger over the top of mine, and here we are, double action. This is 13 plus pounds. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, still going. There it goes, and break. Now, what's so interesting is this. You have this small amount of take up here, which is pretty much effortless, but after that, you know, about 1/16 of an inch, it is immediately 13 pounds. And it is 13 pounds all the way through until all of a sudden, snap. For those of you that do anticipate your shots, I feel that you're probably going to dip a lot with this gun. At the same time, it comes very surprising once, like, you're just pulling and pulling, and it's very, you know, heavy of a trigger, and then all of a sudden, snap, it breaks. If you can stay on target that whole time and let the gun kind of surprise you on when that hammer drops, when it releases, I feel like you can be fairly accurate with that double action. And that's why in my groupings there on the range review. All right, let's bring her home.
They've been out in the lobby for
There was no flyers or something that dipped real low. While I was getting used to the gun, I put about 20 rounds through it and to get used to kind of that trigger, and I just had to go, okay, I'm just going to pull this thing back as much as I can. I'm going to keep those sights on where I want that bullet to go. I had to very consciously think that. I think if you went into this gun and you're used to a lighter trigger, a shorter trigger, you might get halfway through pulling that trigger back and you'd think, is this thing ever going to fire? And you might look, did I take the safety off? You know, something silly like that. And it's just, no, the gun has that much travel and it is that heavy. And all of a sudden, that hammer drops and boom, out goes around. Let's take a look at that again, and then I'll hold that trigger back and we'll rack the slide so you can see the reset real quick. Let me go ahead and drop this mag first, because I know since there's no slide lock release, if that's locked back, it's going to be all awkward. So here we go, double action, a little bit of take up, again about 1/16 of an inch, and we're just going to pull that back. There it goes. And here's your reset. Did you see that? Super, super short reset. Kind of a cool little sound. Different than anything else I've ever heard. But it's such a small reset. How about that? That is a very pleasurable shooting gun. When it comes to the frame is metal, as you can see here. Very classic lines. I wish that there was some checkering on the front strap and some checkering on the rear strap. I think that would have been really nice. Something that maybe complemented the grip here. And what's kind of neat about this trigger guard is you can see how it comes down here. And this is actually part of the disassembly of the firearm, which I thought was kind of cool. There is one thing I will tell you this. Back here on the beaver tail, you do have, it's not a super sharp edge, you do, you know, but this edge here, if they would have rounded that off, it would have been a lot more pleasurable shooting at the range, because as I was shooting, that edge was just pushing right into this bone here. I do notice here, and you can kind of see on my hand there, it's getting a little bruised here, and this is very thin. And you do feel a lot of pressure right here on that edge as you're shooting the gun. You can see how that kind of pushes in here. So something to keep in mind. If you feel pressure just holding the gun at the store, more than likely you're going to get pressure there from the recoil. And I know that this is definitely something people have complained about. I don't think that Walther is going to do anything about that, being that this really does follow the classic lines and design of the gun. As far as the grips go, you can get aftermarket grips for these. You have wood grips, they have rubber grips from like Packmeyer. You have the factory grips. I don't think a lot of people are changing these out just because they want to keep with like that look of the gun. They don't want to change too much on it. Now when it comes down here to the magazines, like I said, you have a flush fit magazine, as you can see there. Nice flush fit. There is a little bit to be desired about the front of the magazine hanging over the front of the frame there on the grip. I think it would have looked better if it was actually flush to it. Then you have your pinky extension. So it's the same capacity, it's just one has this little extension to it. The pinky extension one, though, looks really good. There's a nice little lip there to keep that pinky up, and it does actually go flush, more so flush to the front of that grip. So I think a lot of people do rock the pinky extension one. In my opinion, it looks better, and it also functions, I think, a little bit better in managing the recoil of this little gun. Overall, I think that it is a very sexy, a very cute, a very nostalgic, a very kind of collectible, somebody's like gun. I would love to own one of those. However, I don't feel that this is at the top of the food chain when it comes to concealed carry guns. I think that a lot of the new modern features, I mean, one simply being, you know, high-vis sights. I think that's a big plus on other concealed carry handguns. I think that having an actual slide lock lever is a big plus. I think having single action and double action or significantly lighter triggers is almost on, it's on any other gun that you almost look at. I could see it being something as I've got my tuxedo on, and I'm taking a concealed carry with me, and I'm going to take this because tonight I'm James Bond. You know, I could definitely see that. But if this is a gun that you have or you have considered, I'd love to hear, why did you get it? Do you carry it? What would you say to people looking at this gun? Is there any other recommendations that you would make that maybe I missed? So I definitely want to hear from you guys who have looked at this, have bought it, haven't bought it, why'd you buy it, why didn't you buy it, and what did you go with instead? Make sure to check out our Patreon page. We greatly appreciate the support on our Patreon page there. And of course, you can get exclusive content and entries in for our quarterly giveaways. If you want to get some awesome reactive targets, visit X Hunt Targets. You can order those up. And if you want to get one of these guns or a gun in general, make sure to visit Northwest Armory. Go to nwarmory.com and see about ordering one of these guns. They can ship it to your local FFL, or you can go in store and pick it up as well. But other than that, you guys, thanks so much for stopping by the Concealed Carry channel. Again, I'm Grant McLean, and we will see you next time here for another awesome review. Walther, got the target, got the stand, got the coffee. We're ready to go. We have our little safety flag there, so we'll go ahead and remove that. Oops. Hold, please. Right before we open the box.
Open the box.
And I put that dick in that box. And then I close the box on my dick.
Oh my God.
It's, yeah, for such a small gun. Okay. I was kind of rambling on there, wasn't I? Quite a bit.
Little bit.
And, okay. MSRP. Okay. Alright, I have 5. Apparently I don't know how to count.